The stars looked different from the viewport of the diplomatic vessel Unity. Jack Carter stood tall in his crisp blue uniform, watching as his 8-year-old daughter, Lily, pressed her small hands against the glass, her eyes wide with wonder. "Are they really coming, Dad?" Lily asked, her blonde pigtails bouncing as she turned to look up at him. Jack nodded. "Yes, sweetheart. The first aliens humanity has ever met, and you get to be here for it." The year was 2157. Humanity had finally cracked faster than light travel just 15 years ago. They had small colonies on Mars, Europa, and 3 planets in nearby star systems. They thought they were alone in the galaxy until the message came 3 weeks ago. Captain Ben Howard approached them. "Ambassador Carter, the hegemony vessel will dock in 10 minutes. Are you and Lily ready?" Jack straightened his daughter's small blue dress with its embroidered stars. "Remember what we practiced, Lily? You'll present your drawing to them as a gift. It's a special honor." Lily nodded seriously, clutching her carefully rolled artwork. She had spent days drawing a picture of Earth and what she imagined the aliens' homeworld might look like, connected by a rainbow bridge of friendship. The docking bay hummed as the airlocks engaged. Jack took Lily's hand, and they joined the line of Earth's representatives. Scientists, military officers, and politicians all waited nervously. Humanity was the new kid on the block, meeting a galactic hegemony of 27 advanced species. The outer doors slid open. The aliens were nothing like the movies had predicted. The 5 representatives that entered were different species, but all walked on 2 legs. Some had scales, others fur. Their leader stood nearly 7 feet tall with silver skin that reflected the lights like polished metal. "I am High Counselor Xanar," the silver being said, their translator converting the clicks and whistles into smooth English. "We welcome Earth to the greater community of spacefaring civilizations." The Earth delegation bowed respectfully. President Garcia stepped forward. "On behalf of all humanity, we are honored to meet you and hope for peaceful relations." The formal introductions continued. Jack noticed Lily fidgeting beside him, excited to present her gift. When his turn came, he stepped forward. "Ambassador Jack Carter of North America, and my daughter Lily, who has prepared a special gift for our new friends." High Counselor Sanar's eyes narrowed slightly, but they nodded. Lily stepped forward shyly, unrolling her drawing. "I made this for you," she said in her clear, small voice. "It's Earth and your home, with a friendship bridge." She walked toward the purple-scaled alien who had been introduced as Cultural Minister Jex. What happened next occurred in seconds, but Jack would replay it in slow motion in his nightmares forever. As Lily approached, Minister Jex stepped back sharply. A security officer with bone ridges along its face moved with startling speed, raising the small device. "No." Jack lunged forward. A flash of blue light. Lily crumpled to the floor, her drawing floating down beside her. Screams erupted from the human delegation. Jack fell to his knees beside his daughter, but he knew instantly she was gone. Her small body was still, her eyes open but empty. "What have you done?" he screamed, gathering Lily into his arms. The High Counselor stepped back. "Your offspring approached a council minister without permission and with an unknown object. This is forbidden under hegemony law." Security followed protocol. "She's a child. She was giving a drawing," President Garcia shouted as human security forces rushed in with weapons drawn. "The child violated Protocol 5.3 of hegemony diplomatic law. The punishment is death," Minister Jex stated coldly. "We claim diplomatic immunity and consider this matter closed." The hegemony delegation retreated to their ship quickly, sealing the doors. Jack sat on the cold floor, cradling his daughter's body, his uniform soaked with tears. Around him, the human delegation stood in shocked silence as the hegemony ship disengaged and moved away from the station. In the viewport, Earth glowed blue and peaceful, unaware that its relationship with the galaxy had just changed forever. 3 days after Lily Carter's death, Earth burned with quiet rage. Every screen on the planet showed her picture. Children placed drawings and teddy bears at makeshift memorials. Flags flew at half-mast across every nation. Jack Carter stood before the United Earth Council, his face gaunt from sleepless nights. The recording of his daughter's killing played on the wall behind him. Several council members wiped tears from their eyes as it ended. "The hegemony sent this an hour ago," said President Garcia, tapping her screen. A hologram appeared in the center of the room. High Counselor Sanar's silver face showed no emotion. "We have reviewed the incident and find no fault with our security protocols. The human child approached without proper clearance. As a gesture of goodwill, we offer a cultural misunderstanding payment of 5,000 galactic credits." The message ended. The room fell silent. "They killed my daughter and offer money," Jack said, his voice hollow, as if her life could be measured in credits. General Kevin Reeves cleared his throat. "Mr. President, our intelligence suggests the hegemony has technology centuries beyond ours. Their smallest warships could devastate our colonies. I recommend we accept their payment and proceed cautiously." Cautiously, Jack's voice cracked. "They murdered a child." President Garcia raised her hand. "Ambassador Carter, your loss is unimaginable. But we must consider Earth's safety. We cannot start a war we cannot win." As Jack left the council chambers, his phone buzzed. A message read, "Someone wants to meet you. Come alone." An address followed. Across the city, Dr. Susan Miller sat in her lab, staring at the footage of Lily's death for the 20th time. 5 years ago, she had lost her 6-year-old son, Danny, to a rare form of cancer. The pain never left. She paused the video on the flash of blue light from the alien weapon. Her mind raced with calculations. Her assistant knocked on the door. "Dr. Miller, the military committee is asking about your gravity disruption theory again." Susan's hands trembled slightly. "Tell them I'm reconsidering my position." For years, she had refused to develop her theories into weapons. Now, watching Lily fall to the ground, something changed inside her. At a secret military base beneath the Rocky Mountains, Admiral Peter Wright sat with his top commanders. "Ladies and gentlemen, I've called you here to ask a simple question," he said, his voice steady. "If we had to fight the hegemony, how could we win?" The room fell silent until Commander Sam Wilson spoke up. "Sir, based on what we've observed, their technology relies heavily on artificial gravity fields. Their weapons, their shields, their FTL drives, all use the same underlying principle. And if those fields were disrupted?" Admiral Wright asked. Commander Wilson nodded slowly. "It would be like cutting the power to everything they have." Admiral Wright tapped his screen. "I'm authorizing Project Nemesis. Complete secrecy. We tell the politicians we're accepting the hegemony's terms while preparing for all possibilities." That evening, Jack Carter arrived at an unmarked building. Inside, he found Admiral Wright, Dr. Miller, and several others he didn't recognize. "Ambassador Carter," Admiral Wright said, "I'm sorry for your loss. Truly. But we need to know everything you observed about the hegemony representatives. Their movements, their technology, anything." "Why?" Jack asked, suspicious. The council voted to accept their payment. Dr. Miller stepped forward. "Officially, yes. Unofficially, she projected a complex diagram in the air. I believe I can neutralize their technological advantage. But I need time." "How much time?" Jack asked. 6 months, she replied. "Maybe less." Jack stared at the diagram, then at the faces around him. "What are you suggesting?" Admiral Wright's expression hardened. "For now, Earth plays nice. We establish diplomatic relations. We smile and bow. And while we do, we prepare," Dr. Miller finished. "Because one day, they'll learn that killing a human child was the worst mistake they ever made." Jack thought of Lily's empty bedroom at home, her stuffed animals waiting for a girl who would never return. He nodded slowly. "Tell me what you need." 6 months passed. On the surface, Earth had accepted the hegemony's terms. The public face of human-alien relations was calm and diplomatic. Ambassador Frank Stevens, who replaced Jack Carter, smiled and bowed at every meeting with alien officials. Behind this peaceful mask, Earth prepared for war. In her underground lab, Dr. Susan Miller worked 20-hour days. Dark circles shadowed her eyes as she fine-tuned her gravity disruption device. The prototype sat on her workbench, a silver box the size of a small book, covered in complex circuitry. "Will it work?" asked General Reeves, who had become a regular visitor. Susan pressed a button. A small metal bowl floating above a hegemony-made anti-gravity plate suddenly dropped with a clang. "It works," she said. "The field collapses instantly." The general nodded. "How soon can we adapt this to work on a larger scale, to affect their ships?" "Give me 3 more weeks." Across the solar system, Commander Alan Ross led a team of 12 men and women on a mission aboard a civilian transport ship. They were headed to Proxima Station, a trading post where multiple alien species gathered. The hegemony maintained a small military presence there. "Remember," Ross told his team, "dressed in plain clothes, we're merchants looking to buy alien tech. Nothing more." For 10 days, they observed. They recorded. They listened. Each team member was trained to notice different things: weapons, shields, communication devices, ship designs. They bought small pieces of alien technology when they could and smuggled them back to their ship. On the 11th night, Lisa Chen, one of Ross's team, slipped into their shared quarters with excited eyes. "I overheard 2 hegemony officers talking," she whispered. "They haven't fought a real war in over 300 years. Their military is mostly ceremonial now." Ross raised an eyebrow. "Are you sure?" Lisa nodded. They were complaining about boring drills and outdated protocols. One of them said they're not worried about humans because we're primitive but harmless. For the first time in months, Ross smiled. On Earth, military training intensified in secret facilities. Pilots practiced new tactics in hidden simulators. Engineers retrofitted ships with compartments designed to hold Susan's devices. Every person involved signed special agreements and knew only their part of the plan. Jack Carter, no longer an ambassador, worked directly with Admiral Wright. His grief had hardened into purpose. Every morning, he looked at Lily's photo before heading to the underground base. "We have a problem," Admiral Wright said one day, showing Jack a message. "The hegemony wants to install cultural advisors on our major colonies. They say it's to prevent misunderstandings like the one that led to Lily's death." Jack's face darkened. "They want spies on our worlds." "Yes, and if we refuse, they might get suspicious." Jack thought for a moment. "Let them come, but make sure they only see what we want them to see." At Hegemony Central Command, a junior analyst named Krev studied data from human worlds. Something didn't add up. "Supervisor," Krev chittered in the hegemony's main language, "I'm seeing unusual patterns in human resource allocation. They're mining more rare minerals than their civilian technology requires." His supervisor, a tall being with 6 eyes, barely glanced at the data. "Humans are inefficient. They waste resources. But their power usage has increased by 30% in certain facilities, and—" "Enough, Krev," the supervisor interrupted. "The humans are new to the galactic community. Their systems are primitive and wasteful. The High Council has determined they pose no threat." Krev hesitated, then nodded and returned to his station. But he continued to watch the patterns with growing concern. As the 6th month drew to a close, Dr. Miller presented her finished work to Admiral Wright, Jack Carter, and the Project Nemesis leaders. "The gravity disruptors are ready," she said. "We can now disable any hegemony technology within a half-mile radius of each device." Admiral Wright looked at the calendar on the wall. "Good. We're almost at the 1-year anniversary of Lily's death. It's time to move to the next phase." Jack touched the small photo of his daughter in his pocket. "Are we ready?" "No," Admiral Wright said honestly, "but we never will be." and they'll never see us coming. 1 year after Lily Carter's death, the day arrived. Earth was ready. President Garcia stood before the United Earth Council, cameras broadcasting to every human world and colony. Her usually calm face looked grim. Today, we remember Lily Carter, an innocent child killed by the galactic hegemony, she said. For 1 year, we have asked for justice. For 1 year, we have been ignored. She paused, her eyes like steel. Today, that changes. I am sending a formal demand to the Hegemony Council. We want the security officer who killed Lily and the officials who dismissed our grievances to face trial on Earth. The broadcast cut to Jack Carter, standing tall in a dark suit, a small pin of Earth's flag on his lapel. My daughter loved to draw pictures of stars, he said, his voice steady. She believed the universe was full of friends we hadn't met yet. The hegemony took her life and called it protocol. They offered money as if that could replace a child. In orbit above Earth, a message transmitted to every hegemony world. The demand was simple and direct. Deliver those responsible within 7 Earth days or face consequences. The response came just 6 hours later. High Counselor Xenar appeared on screens across Earth. Your demand is amusing, the silver-skinned alien said. The hegemony has guided galactic civilization for 10,000 years. We do not answer to primitive species who barely understand faster-than-light travel. Xanar's face grew colder. This matter was resolved according to our laws. If humans wish to remain part of galactic society, you will accept your place in the hierarchy. This conversation is over. The transmission ended. In the underground command center, Admiral Wright turned to President Garcia. They've made their choice. Do we proceed with Operation Child's Tear? The president looked at the faces around her, military leaders, scientists, and Jack Carter. She nodded once. Do it. Commander Ross sat in the captain's chair of the Earth ship Defiance *. His vessel and 5 others had been hiding in an asteroid field near Outpost Zeta-9, a small hegemony listening post with a crew of 300. All ships activate gravity disruptors and proceed as planned, Ross ordered. Remember, minimal casualties if possible. The 6 human ships moved in perfect formation. As they approached the outpost, the hegemony's warning systems activated. Unidentified vessels, this is a restricted hegemony facility. Leave immediately or be destroyed, came the outpost commander's voice. Ross pressed a button. This is Earth. We are here for justice. The human ships activated Dr. Miller's devices. On the outpost, lights flickered. Their weapon systems went offline. Their shields collapsed. What is happening? The outpost commander demanded, panic in his voice. Your technology relies on artificial gravity, Ross explained calmly. We've learned how to turn it off. Within 3 hours, the outpost was under human control. Only 2 hegemony officers had died, both when they tried to activate a self-destruct system that no longer worked. Ross stood before the captured hegemony staff. You are now prisoners of Earth. You will be treated fairly and released when our demands are met. Back on Earth, Admiral Wright received the success report. It worked perfectly, he told President Garcia. The outpost fell with minimal resistance. Jack Carter looked at the screen showing the captured outpost. What now? Now we send a message, President Garcia said. She pressed a button, activating a transmission to every hegemony world. The outpost you call Zeta-9 is now under Earth control, she announced. This is a demonstration of our resolve. You have 3 Earth days to meet our demands. If you refuse, this will be just the beginning. The reaction was immediate. The Hegemony Council met in emergency session. High Counselor Xenar pounded his fist on the table. How dare these humans attack us? They must be taught a lesson they will never forget. Military Commander Dravik bowed. High Counselor, I am dispatching the main battle fleet. They will crush these humans and restore our honor. As the massive hegemony fleet prepared to depart, Junior Analyst Krev watched with growing dread. He had warned them. Nobody had listened. The hegemony battle fleet entered the solar system 5 days later. Over 200 ships, each larger and more powerful than anything humans had built, moved in perfect formation toward Earth. Admiral Wright watched them on the long-range scanners. "They've taken the bait," he said to President Garcia and the military command. "They think their numbers will overwhelm us." Admiral Olivia Dunn stood beside the main display. Her ship, the Retribution would lead Earth's forces in the coming battle. "Our fleet is in position near Jupiter," she reported. "All ships are equipped with gravity disruptors and ready for battle." Jack Carter watched silently. In the year since Lily's death, he had studied military strategy alongside Admiral Wright. Now he would witness what they had planned together. "Remember," Wright said to Admiral Dunn, "we're not fighting the way they expect. Use the Jupiter gravity well. Follow the plan." The hegemony fleet approached Jupiter with confidence. Their advanced sensors detected the human ships waiting in orbit around the giant planet. "Pitiful," said Fleet Commander Dravik to his officers. "Only 40 ships against our armada. This will be over quickly." His second-in-command frowned at the scanner. "Sir, their formation is unusual. They're positioning themselves in Jupiter's magnetic field and using the moons as cover." Dravik waved dismissively. "Primitive tactics. All ships advance and destroy the human fleet. Show no mercy." The hegemony ships moved forward in a tight formation, their weapons charged. They expected an easy victory. They were wrong. As the alien fleet came within range, Admiral Dunn gave the order. "All ships activate gravity disruptors. Target their lead vessels first." The effect was immediate. The front line of hegemony ships suddenly lost power to their shields and weapons. Their artificial gravity failed, sending crew members floating from their stations. "What is happening?" Dravik demanded as alerts flashed across his command ship. Before his officers could answer, Admiral Dunn's voice came through their communication system. "Hegemony Fleet, this is Admiral Olivia Dunn of Earth. Your technology is now compromised. Surrender or be destroyed." Dravik snarled. "Never. All ships, switch to backup systems and attack." The battle that followed lasted for 3 days. The hegemony fleet, despite their superior numbers, faced an enemy that understood their technology better than they did. Earth ships moved in small groups, using Jupiter's moons as shields, emerging to disable hegemony vessels before disappearing again. On the second day, Admiral Dunn's ship took heavy damage. She stood on the bridge as fires were put out around her. "Status report," she demanded. "We've destroyed or disabled 78 enemy ships," her tactical officer reported. "We've lost 12 of our own. The gravity disruptors are working better than expected." By the third day, Dravik's fleet had lost over half its ships. The proud commander faced a decision he never thought possible: retreat or total destruction. As he considered his options, alarms blared across his command ship. "Sir," his second-in-command reported with fear in his voice, "the humans have disabled our main engines. We're being pulled into Jupiter's gravity." Dravik's eyes narrowed. He pressed a button on his command chair. "Prepare the planet killers. If we cannot win this battle, we will make sure Earth dies with us." Deep in the fleet, 3 special ships began powering up. These ships carried weapons designed to crack planets open. They had never been used in actual combat, only in demonstrations on uninhabited worlds. From his position on Earth's command center, Jack Carter watched in horror as the sensors detected the energy buildup. "They're targeting Earth with planet killers," he said, his voice tight. Admiral Wright immediately opened a channel to the Retribution. "Admiral Dunn, they're preparing to launch planet killers. You must stop them at all costs." On the Retribution, Commander Alan Ross volunteered immediately. "Admiral, give me a fast ship and a gravity disruptor. I can get close enough to stop them." Admiral Dunn nodded grimly. "This is a one-way mission, Commander." Ross thought of Lily Carter and all the children of Earth. "I know. Let me go. Commander Alan Ross piloted the small, fast ship toward the 3 hegemony planet killer vessels. His 5 volunteer crew members worked silently at their stations. They all knew they might not return from this mission. 5 minutes until we're in range, said Liz Pearson, his navigator. Ross nodded. Activate the stealth systems. We need to get as close as possible before they detect us. Back on Earth, Jack Carter paced in the command center. We should be doing something more, he said to Admiral Wright. Commander Ross is our best hope, Wright replied. But you're right. We need a backup plan. He turned to Dr. Miller. Susan, how powerful can we make a gravity disruptor? She frowned. The ones on our ships have limited range. But, her eyes widened. If we link Earth's power grid to a network of disruptors in orbit, we might create a field large enough to affect the planet killers even at their current distance. Do it, President Garcia ordered. In space, Ross's ship approached the first planet killer. The massive hegemony vessel glowed with strange energy as it prepared to fire. They've spotted us, warned Joe Martinez, the tactical officer. Incoming fire. Ross rolled the ship, avoiding the first blast. Deploy the gravity disruptor. Target their main power core. The small device launched from Ross's ship, attaching to the hull of the planet killer. Seconds later, the hegemony vessel's lights flickered and died. 1 down, Ross said grimly. 2 to go. But as they turned toward the second target, a hegemony fighter squadron appeared. Evasive maneuvers, Ross ordered. His ship twisted and turned through space, taking hits. Sparks flew from damaged systems. 2 crew members were injured. We won't reach the other planet killers in time, Pearson said, blood running from a cut on her forehead. Ross made a quick decision. New plan. Set course directly for the lead planet killer's main cannon. Full speed. His crew exchanged looks but followed orders. They understood. On the hegemony command ship, Fleet Commander Dravik watched with growing rage as the first planet killer went dark. Launch the remaining weapons now, he ordered, before they disable those 2. The 2 remaining planet killers glowed brighter, their massive cannons aimed at the distant blue marble of Earth. Ross's damaged ship raced toward the lead planet killer. Enemy fire rocked the small vessel, tearing off parts of its hull. Impact in 10 seconds, Martinez reported calmly. Ross opened a channel to Earth. Command, this is Ross. We're taking out 1 more. The 3rd is up to you. He paused. Tell my family I love them. Jack Carter answered the call. Commander, your sacrifice won't be forgotten. Ross's ship slammed into the second planet killer just as it was about to fire. The explosion tore through the alien vessel's core, causing a chain reaction that ripped it apart. On Earth, alarms blared. The final planet killer was powering up. Orbital gravity disruptor network at 80%, Dr. Miller reported. We need more time. Across the solar system, Admiral Dunn saw what was happening. All ships with functioning engines converge on the last planet killer. Throw everything we have at it. Human ships broke formation, rushing toward the threat. They took heavy damage from the remaining hegemony fleet, but pressed on with determination. The last planet killer began to fire. A beam of terrible energy shot toward Earth. Disruptor network at full power, Dr. Miller shouted. Activating now. A wave of distortion spread from Earth, invisible but powerful. It met the incoming beam in space. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the planet killer's beam twisted and curved, missing Earth by thousands of miles. On the planet killer, systems failed catastrophically. The massive weapon imploded, unable to contain its own energy. Fleet Commander Dravik watched in disbelief as his ultimate weapons failed. More than half his fleet was destroyed or disabled. The humans, who should have been easy to crush, had beaten his superior force. All remaining ships, he ordered, his voice hollow, retreat to hegemony space. As the alien fleet limped away, Jack Carter stood in Earth's command center. The victory had cost many lives. including Commander Ross and his brave crew. But Earth had survived. What now? President Garcia asked quietly. Jack's eyes hardened. Now we take the fight to them. 6 months after the Battle of Jupiter, Earth had changed. Factories worked day and night producing ships and weapons. Every human colony prepared for war. The gravity disruptor technology had been improved and made smaller, easier to mass produce. General Maria Gomes stood on the bridge of Earth's new flagship, the Justice Asterisk. Over 200 ships gathered around her, the largest human fleet ever assembled. All vessels report ready, her second-in-command said. Maria nodded. Begin the jump to Nexus Prime. Nexus Prime was the capital world of the hegemony, home to the High Council and center of their power. No enemy had ever attacked it in 10,000 years. Until today, the human fleet appeared at the edge of the Nexus system. Hegemony defense stations immediately sounded alarms. Their sensors showed an impossible sight. Hundreds of human ships where no enemy should be able to reach. Send the message, General Gomes ordered. Jack Carter's face appeared on screens across the hegemony capital. Many aliens recognized him as the father of the human child killed a year and a half ago. People of the hegemony, he said calmly, I speak for Earth. We do not wish to kill your children. We only want justice for ours. On Nexus Prime, the High Council gathered in emergency session. High Councilor Xanar's silver skin had lost its shine. How did they reach us? He demanded of his military advisors. Where is our defense fleet? Still rebuilding after Jupiter, one officer admitted. We never thought humans could reach our core world so quickly. Analyst Krev stepped forward nervously. Counselors, I studied their movements. They're specifically targeting military installations and avoiding civilian areas. Deploy all remaining ships, Xanar ordered, and prepare my personal vessel for evacuation. The battle for Nexus Prime lasted just 2 days. Earth's gravity disruptors rendered hegemony technology useless. One by one, their defense stations went dark. Their ships drifted powerless in space. On the second day, human ships landed troops on the surface of Nexus Prime. Led by General Gomes herself, they marched straight to the High Council chambers. The doors opened to reveal Xanar and the remaining counselors. For the first time in their long lives, they looked afraid. You have lost, General Gomes said simply. Earth demands your unconditional surrender. Across the galaxy, 27 hegemony member species watched in shock as their all-powerful leaders surrendered to humans, creatures they had considered primitive just months ago. 1 week later, a trial began on Earth. The hegemony security officer who killed Lily, Minister Jex who had defended the action, and High Councilor Xanar all faced human justice. Jack Carter sat in the front row of the courtroom, watching silently. When the evidence had been presented and the aliens found guilty, the judge asked if he wished to speak before sentencing. Jack walked slowly to the center of the room. The world watched, expecting his anger, his call for the harshest punishment. My daughter believed the stars were full of friends we hadn't met, he said, his voice steady. She was killed because of ignorance and pride. If we execute these beings, we prove we are no better. He turned to face the guilty aliens. I don't forgive you. But I don't want more death. Not in Lily's name. The judge sentenced the hegemony officials to life working in distant human colonies, helping to rebuild worlds damaged in the war. 3 months later, representatives from all galactic species gathered on Earth. The hegemony was gone. In its place, a new galactic concord was forming, with humans helping to write its laws. The first document they signed was called the Carter Protocols, establishing that no child of any species could be harmed for cultural misunderstandings. It guaranteed protection for all young ones, regardless of their world of origin. On the anniversary of the Battle of Jupiter, a memorial opened in Geneva. At its center stood a simple statue of a small girl holding a drawing of stars. Children from 27 alien species placed flowers at its base. Jack Carter watched from a distance. Dr. Miller joined him. Was it worth it? She asked quietly. Jack looked at the alien children playing peacefully with human ones. She would have liked this, he said. A galaxy where children are safe. Yes, it was worth it. Above them, the stars shone in a peaceful sky, no longer filled with enemies, but with new friends, just as Lily had always believed.